Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome back. This is the Windup. I am Chris Phillips, and that is not Harrison Fant. He's not even in the show anymore. It might just be me solo. We are going to have our guy Jake Mckeever pinch hitting. I don't know where he just went. Either way, though, we are rocking. We are rolling here on this. There he is. We're off to a hot start, obviously, with our guy Jake Mckeever, who, again, is coming out of the bullpen, filling in for Harrison Fant today. Again, guys, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in as always. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we are powered by our friends over at FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today to get started with $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/SECU to get $200 in bonus bets today. Welcome back. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show. We are here reacting to everything that took place in the midweek and talking another electric SEC weekend. Conference weekend number 5. It is officially the halfway point on the diamond in conference play, if you can believe that, and it's only heating up with each passing weekend. As always, I am Chris Phillips. I'm joined not by Harrison Fant, but we're making a call to the pen. Our guy Jake Mckeever filling in today. Obviously, our guy Harrison is in Augusta, Georgia, working the most prestigious golf tournament in the world. So with that being said, we had to go to somebody else, and it's our guy Jake filling in today. Jake, what's going on, man? Appreciate you doing this. Appreciate you taking the time. Excited to chop it up with you, man. Going to be a lot of fun. We're going to lock in some picks, talk some college baseball. It's going to be a good time.
I can't wait. Usually we talk on Friday, so we're either taking victory laps or, getting punched in the face. So I'm excited to kind of talk stuff beforehand. Unfortunately, Harrison is not working the most prestigious event in all of sports, as Omaha isn't until June. But I guess the Masters will be a close second for Harrison.
Yeah, that's why I said most prestigious golf tournament, by the way. We can have that debate another time, by the way, most prestigious sporting events, if you will. But yes, our guy Harrison, as you can imagine, he is sunrise to sundown in Augusta this week. So, again, I appreciate you being willing to do it, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. Like you mentioned, we normally chop it up on Friday night spikes. So getting it in a day early, going to be a good time. It's going to be, we got another electric weekend awaiting us. Obviously, we got a lot of midweek to talk about, but appreciate you, my man, being willing to do this. Excited to have you on. Again, excited to have you all tuned in. Those tuned in live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, of course. Make sure you leave us your questions, your comments. We will get to those throughout the show and more so at the end of the show. We'd love to hear from you. But, Jake, let's go ahead and dive into it. We got a lot to discuss. We will start with what happened over the midweek, some really notable results, and I want to get your thoughts here. Florida, they can't beat anybody except Florida State. They take the season series from them, win that game in Gainesville on Tuesday. Auburn notably takes down Georgia Tech. That was a really fun one, SEC-ACC battle. We had a little bit of fun with our guys over at Just Means Less ACC. It was a winning night for the SEC, of course, as it always is. They go into Atlanta, get the job done. Kentucky did fall to Louisville in that rivalry game. Bama, big win over Southern Miss. Another really fun midweek. Oklahoma got blasted by Dallas Baptist again. Thought that might have been a revenge spot, but DBU had other plans. Your thoughts, Jake, on the midweek? What stood out to you? Anything notable from that slate of games? Maybe some notable ones that I didn't talk about. I also didn't mention in the Wednesday slate, Ole Miss scoring 29 runs in a baseball game. So, thoughts on what we saw in the midweek?
Yeah, I mean, it was an exciting midweek. A lot of SEC teams took care of business, even though Kentucky did fall. You don't want to waste some of those bullpen arms, so that's kind of what I would say that there's an excuse that they lost, but it is kind of, they get a little bit of a pass. I don't know what has been up with OU playing Dallas Baptist. I believe that's now 5 straight losses to the Dallas Baptist Patriots. The last 2 have been by a combined 20 runs allowed and only 1 run scored. OU's quickly kind of fading the wrong way. And I always not like to put a lot of stock in midweeks, but at the same time, Florida beating Florida State shows that they haven't pitched the tent down just yet. A&M taking care of business against Sam Houston. I'll talk about that a little bit with A&M. But, anytime that we can beat up on Little Bro ACC, we always got to do it.
Yeah, I think to your point, especially with Florida being able to close that game down, the 8th, the 9th, the bullpen's been so bad for them. I think that's a good sign. I do think, to your point, because one of my biggest questions coming out of last weekend was I was nervous that this Gators team is going to quit. And, you don't beat a top 10 Florida State team. I don't care if it's a midweek or not. You don't do it if you've kind of folded the tent, wrapped it up. So good on them. I'm kind of getting weary of saying maybe this is the thing that sparked the Gators. We'll talk more about that as we get into the weekend series because when they zig, I zag. So you might be kind of surprised with what we're going to talk about in regards to picks. But, no, yeah, it's interesting, man. A&M, you mentioned 14-1 against Sam Houston State. They get the run rule victory. I know it's Sam. I mean, Sam Houston's not good, Jake. They're 8-20.
No, they kind of kicked the ball around even by
Yeah.
Sam Houston standards.
Yeah, 3 errors in the game. I mean, they're 8-25 overall, 2-7 in Conference USA. But to your point, man, it's the momentum you can build in the midweek. I think is what is more notable than anything.
Well, I will add one thing, Chris. I did have a couple mid-major coaches that follow A&M that said that is the biggest game on A&M's schedule because if they somehow lost it, it was like a 70-point drop in their RPI, and they really would have immediately got kicked from like the bubble to, okay, you have to immediately get as hot as you can, as quickly as you can. So it was important in that sense, but I mean, it's Sam Houston, and it's not the same Houston that we've come to accustom. It's kind of funny just to see how many. I did this when I went back and looked through some of the Ivies too, where it's like, okay, they had so many guys come through. Like at the end of the day, Colby Branch, Georgia starting shortstop, started at Sam Houston. Walker Yannick, who got drafted by the Astros. So it's just been a depletion of talent, and I think that this is kind of it cratering in a negative way for the Sam Houston State Bearcats, unfortunately.
Yeah, they are bad. I know there were some high expectations out there going into the season. They are just not very good. I do want to highlight, Jake, really quickly, Alabama getting a 10-6 win over Southern Miss.
Did you see the bat flip, by the way?
I did. That was savagery. That was pure savagery. Bama, though, down 4-0 early in this game. They scored 2 in the bottom of the 4th and then had that big 6-run 6th inning, 10-6 win. Bama finds a way. I tell you, man, anybody's got to play Southern Miss in the midweek. I mean, I know Ole Miss, Mississippi State, now Bama, they've all kind of made their rounds with the Golden Eagles. That is, again, that's not your typical midweek. Really, really fun matchup. And Bama building some nice momentum, bouncing back after the Auburn series loss. Obviously, I highlight them because we will be there this week, so tomorrow morning. Really, really excited to get to the Joe again. We'll talk about that more in a second. But good bounce back, and I think a good momentum builder going into what I think is a pretty pivotal weekend.
Yeah, that's kind of a good segue into the next part. But yeah, I mean, it is all these weekends in the SEC are starting to kind of some of these teams are starting to run out of time, if you will.
Yeah, because you're starting to separate yourself or fight for your postseason resume. Just highlighting some of the other games, Jake. Arkansas, they beat Arkansas State. Mizzou gets a win over SIUE. Who is that?
And they were in the basketball tournament.
Oh, well,
Jaguars.
In Edwardsville at Roy E. Lee Field at Simmons Baseball Complex. Nice job, MIZ. South Carolina beats up on South Carolina Upstate 13-3. South Carolina Upstate normally has a pretty solid program, so
yeah, they were on Saturday too. Did you see that?
Which game?
Upstate played High Point on Saturday on ESPN. I think either 2 or U on primetime, which was kind of a good showcase for the Big South.
You would be locked into that. Georgia beats up on Presbyterian. They bounce back. Obviously, the Bats got quieted in Austin, returning home and facing a much less talented pitching staff than Texas. Helped them out immensely. Texas got the run rule win over Houston Christian, 12-2. Ole Miss beats up on Memphis, 10-0. They had to go on the road for that game. Vandy. And you mentioned, too, Vandy is a team. We talked about Oklahoma earlier, how they're trending. Vandy, they're trending a certain way. It's a positive way. I believe they've won 5 baseball games in a row now, including that weekend sweep at Florida. They beat Dayton 9-2. So Vandy's starting to gain some momentum. Mississippi State beats UAB on the road 8-3. LSU beats Nichols 5-3 in a game that, by the way, Jake, LSU's down 3-0 going to the top 7. They put up a 5 spot and they win that game. But it was
Bear Jones with the bathroom break rally.
Dude, the greatest the most college baseball photo of all time. Bear Jones with his helmet on, waiting at the porta potty. I mean, that's college baseball.
It was
That reminded you of like a travel ball game. You know,
it's so funny when LSU goes on the road to some of these schools, because remember like a few years ago when they were like the #1 team in the country and they went and played in Hammond, and all their media people like freaked out because they were having them sit in the stands. LSU when they go on the road in Louisiana is just the funniest thing, because weird stuff always happens.
Yeah, because they're so used to obviously the way they're catered to at Alex Box and their facilities, and yeah, it is kind of funny. They do go to some random places, but again, Jake, a solid midweek, some notable results, no doubt, and really, like you mentioned, sets the stage for the weekend, and an electric weekend we have, guys. Before we do get into all that, we're going to break it all down, preview, predict it, lock in our picks. I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel once again, because of course we're powered by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is giving all new customers a shot at $250 in bonus bets. Join FanDuel today. You'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on all of the NBA play-in tournament action. That's FanDuel.com/SECU for your shot at $250 in bonus bets. Must be 21 and up and present in select states. For Kansas and affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777. Or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. And yes, just to let you all know, I am working on getting us a college baseball ad read, because you all want to bet on college baseball, and there are lines to be had. There are games to be bet on. I want to make sure you guys are taken care of. That being said, Jake, let's get into this weekend. Can you believe it? We are at the essentially halfway point of conference play now. Conference weekend number 5 is officially upon us. And like you mentioned, Jake, it's only heating up from here, because you're starting to build, or you're continuing to build, I should say, your postseason resume. You're fighting for your postseason life. You're fighting to be a national seed, whatever it might be. On that note, let's go to Gainesville, Florida. We'll start there. We got a pair of Thursday through Saturday series, this being one of them. This is the battle to get out of the cellar, right? You've got 1-11 Florida in SEC play. You've got 0-12 Missouri in SEC play. And, you know, you mentioned it, Jake. I think the positive thing from the midweek is at least that shows that Florida has not just completely quit. They haven't completely folded. There is some fight left in this club, because I'll admit that was a concern that I had. When you look at this series, and give me your pick, give me your prediction, Jake. I mean, with this Florida team, it's just like weekend after weekend after weekend, we keep waiting to just maybe see something different, and we don't get it. I mean, something's got to give. Somebody's got to win an SEC series, Jake. Somebody's got to win a series this weekend, whether they want to or not.
I mean, I feel like it's like we're Tiger Woods' wife trying to convince Tiger Woods not to cheat on us. Like, we're always picking Florida, and they always let us down. I will say this. I've talked to a few coaches that are in mid-majors, and like a coach at the AAC goes, this team would finish last in the AAC. A coach in the Sun Belt, this team would finish last in the Sun Belt. Missouri is on paper terrible, but the last series that Missouri won was against Florida last year. Florida, for all of their shortcomings, they seem to just find ways to lose. I went with Florida, but I think this is the week that Missouri gets that, pivotal win that they've been chasing all year. They haven't really folded up to 10. I know that they got their teeth kicked in last weekend against Arkansas, but, they had leads in those games. Florida's going to have to be gritty, and at the end of the day, all Florida has to care about is a win. If it doesn't matter how you get it, they just need to leave Condren every single day with a win. and that's all that needs to happen. You don't need to worry about so-and-so breaking out. You don't need to worry about Brody Donay striking out a ton. All that matters is a win. It's like you got a runner on third, and you just got to put the ball in play.
Jake, this series is fascinating for a few different reasons, okay? By the way, this series, Florida, our friends over at FanDuel I mentioned, Florida is a 4.5-run favorite tonight. The over-under is at 14.5. Folks, hammer the over. I mean, with every penny you have, hammer the over. I know it's game one, guys. I'm assuming it's probably Liam Peterson tonight. If it's not, it's Aiden King. I get that.
And I believe in the injury report, Ian Loesch is out again. So Missouri's going with not their Friday guy.
Okay. So. Well, on that note, Jake, this is a battle of the two worst teams in the conference in conference ERA. Florida is 15th with a 9.7 ERA, and Missouri is 16th with a 13.4 ERA. There are going to be runs scored in this series at a high rate. Jake, I am doing something I did not think I would do at any point this season. I am picking Missouri to win a series. Out of pure principle, I have picked Florida, Jake, every weekend. Do you realize that? I've picked Florida every weekend, and they have lost, literally going back to the Tennessee series. I've picked them every weekend. So I'm like, you know what? I'm switching it up. I'm done.
You're Tiger Woods' wife filing for the divorce.
You're going to have to win me back. Yeah, I'm Ellen swinging the 9-iron or whatever it was, the 3-wood upside Tiger's head. I mean, I'm finished. I'm donezo. And everybody here knows I love those guys. Like they rolled out the red carpet for me. Like I'm really tight with them. Maybe Florida needs me to pick against them or something, because picking them to win hasn't worked to this point. I mean, I've picked them every weekend. I don't trust Florida's bullpen at this point. I just, like you said, Jake, they just find ways to lose ball games. And I don't even trust going in the 7th, 8th, 9th, they're going to find a way to hold on to a lead. So if there's one thing Mizzou can do, one thing, they have at times been able to swing it. They've been able to swing it at times. I'm picking Mizzou to somehow win 2 or 3. I can't believe I'm saying this, and I don't even know, Jake, if I fully believe that. I'll be honest with you.
I would as well.
It's just out of pure principle. I will say, to your point, though, I do think no matter what, this is the weekend Mizzou wins a game. There is no chance. Well, maybe I won't say no chance, but I just don't see Florida sweeping. I don't think they're there. I really don't. Florida's a team that I've stuck a fork in. I think they're cooked. These are two teams that I don't think are going to the postseason. I'll put it that way, Jake. I don't think either of these teams is going to the postseason. I don't. For Florida, it's a pride thing. Like, dude, your season's already a disaster, but losing to Mizzou would be complete embarrassment. I mean, really, truly, you have no business losing a series of the Missouri Tigers, with all due respect. All due respect to Carrick Jackson and company.
I think Carrick
no business
say that. Like he would probably like word it a little bit cuter of like, oh yeah, like we just want to be in the game in the 9th inning or something like that. There is no world. I mean, if we were talking about this 6 weeks ago, we'd be talking about run rules over winning itself. But Florida did it last year, where they got randomly hot at the end of the year and ended up playing in Omaha. So crazier things have happened. Obviously, they've had that injury bug. It's extremely hard, but maybe this is one where they kind of get rolling.
I'll just humor you, Jake, and humor everybody else out there. If Florida were to make some unbelievable run to the postseason, it would have to start this weekend.
I will say this. I'm just going to say state facts, and you can draw your own conclusions. Scott Strickland is the chairman of the tournament committee this year for college baseball. That is just a fact.
I even saw a tweet after the Florida State game, like, about Florida's out of conference record. I'm like, oh my gosh, the lobbying has already begun. Gators will find a way to sneak into the postseason and then find themselves back in Omaha.
They'll go to a Big 12 team and then wreck them.
Gosh. So anyways, you are going Florida Harrison's going Florida. I'm going Mizzou. Out of just pure principle, if nothing else, Florida, you got to show me. I'm again, like you said, I'm Tiger Woods' wife. I'm done. I filed for divorce from the Gators. Let's go Harrison. Let's go, Jake, to the other Thursday through Saturday series. That being a team you are very familiar with, the Texas A&M Aggies. They'll get going tonight as they host the South Carolina Gamecocks. Jake, I think the big question here is just how does A&M follow up what we saw them do in Knoxville? I mean, what they did was, and I'm not overstating this, it was beyond comprehension for me based off what we had seen to that point. I mean, we're talking about a team that had been terrible, got run ruled, no hit in game 1 against Tennessee, and they followed that up with belt to ass for 2 straight games, just tattooing Tennessee pitching, and they run rule them in game 3. They take that series. Again, I know you're really, really close to this program, Jake. Know a lot about this program, the ins and outs. Thoughts on this weekend, who you're going with, and, I mean, what are you looking for from A&M here? Because, like, I say all that about how big of an upset it was, but on the flip side, it wasn't, because it's like, well, this is how A&M was supposed to be playing all year. Like, this is what we expected from them. This is a massive, massive series, though, at home. How do you follow up that Tennessee series? That is the big question, I think, for me.
Yeah, I did go with South Carolina, but I will say this. I was joking with Micah after it happened. I'm like, this is going to be one of those things where when A&M misses the tournament and Tennessee's playing in the national championship, we're going to be like, how the hell did Tennessee lose 2-3 to A&M? But I will say this, on Tuesday, they felt like just an incredibly loose team like they were last year, which was kind of like one of their calling cards. I think Michael Early's kind of figured out how to tinker with it. Obviously, the bullpen's, I think, still a work in progress. But they've had a few guys, I think, step up. Like I said, Weston Moss is kind of taking on that bullpen role. So they're still only chasing 1 instead of 2 arms. But the reason that I went with South Carolina is, 1, battered Aggie syndrome, I think, is a very real thing. And it feels like just when you kind of start to give A&M a little bit of credit, they remind you of why they had lost so many. And 2, when I talked to Nolan Naraki at the beginning of the year, the first thing that he told me about Pulmonary is that he likes to bunt. And he goes, we're going to bunt more. Because I was like, what's different? He goes, we're going to bunt more. And A&M is, I believe, second to last or last in fielding percentage in the SEC. They're not really an athletic infield, if you will. So I think South Carolina is really going to push the envelope from a bunting standpoint. They're going to push A&M into some uncomfortable spots. And ultimately, I think that's why South Carolina is going to take 2 of 3, is just pushing them into these uncomfortable spots.
South Carolina going to have to play a lot of small ball because outside of Ethan Petrie, there's not a ton of pop in that lineup. I went Texas A&M, Jake.
There is one thing I wanted to add about that.
Yeah.
South Carolina has no guy in their lineup that has double-digit homers, nor do they have a single guy that has double-digit doubles. So they're just a team that singles you to death.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had that. I think their first SEC game of the season, I think they lost by a run. I think they had 11 or 12 hits, and they were all singles. Yeah, it's just like, how do you even do that? Like, yeah, they're just a singles machine, if you will. And the problem with that is they don't have the pitching staff to carry them and win games 3-2, 4-3. It's been a really, really rough go at on the pitching side of things. And that's one of the reasons, Jake. I went Texas A&M. I think returning home, I think they understand, because I think this is the reality. If you lose this series to South Carolina, you undo all of the good you did in Knoxville. You just really do. Like, this is a series you have to win. I mean, we obviously know the battle that A&M is fighting, the uphill climb. They're 3-9 in SEC play, even after beating Tennessee. I expect Ryan Prager to bounce back in a big way. He did not have a good start, obviously, in Knoxville. Against one of the best lineups in the country, granted.
He didn't have a start against Kentucky either. So
last few starts, he hasn't been great. I think this is a lineup that he'll be able to eat up a little bit. I think the A&M starting rotation is going to eat this lineup alive. I really do. You mentioned some of the bullpen concerns for Texas A&M. That concerns me as well. But I just think from a talent perspective, because I think, to your point, I'm not overreacting to A&M beating Tennessee either from the standpoint of, okay, it was one day of baseball. Like, it was one day. It doesn't undo everything else we had seen to that point. Still a very, very imperfect club. They got hot for one day. But I'm going A&M, Jake, purely from the talent standpoint. They are just so much more talented than South Carolina is across the board. I think they've got enough. Is it a sweep? I don't know. I don't know that it is, but I think they've got enough to outlast South Carolina and outslug them, if nothing else, and win this series. So you're going South Carolina. I already saw you catching hell for that, by the way, which we love to see. I am going Texas A&M. Harrison going Texas A&M. Again, that series getting going tonight, Thursday through Saturday.
One more thing, and Mike actually brought this up. They still have Missouri. So if they sweep South Carolina this week, the road gets a little bit easier, and you're not as under the gun. Because I think that their win total is what? I think at 10 and 20, they'd probably sneak in. So they probably need 7. Well, I think they need 9 wins is what Mike
the number typically is you need to get to 13 SEC wins to feel good about it.
And then they have, say, Missouri and South Carolina. That's 6 if they can win those. Again, then you can probably only steal one because they still have LSU, they still have Texas.
Their schedule's a gauntlet. It's still a gauntlet. Yeah, they got Arkansas.
Does make you breathe a little bit easier knowing, okay, we don't actually have to win. We don't have to go to Arkansas and sweep. We just need to take one, and we'll be fine tournament wise. But again, don't look too far ahead because if they drop 2 of 3, they're completely done.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Jake. A&M's still a team. You know, I mentioned after the Kentucky series that I was like, I'm done. They're cooked. They're finished. My fork is still in A&M. I still just think it's going to be too tall of a task with what they've got remaining. But like you mentioned, if there's any shot, you've at minimum got to take 2 of 3. And I would tell you this, Jake, if you get to Sunday with a chance to sweep, it needs to be all hands on deck. We are doing everything in our power.
We're wrapping up the clock, stalling time.
Whatever we got to do, we're doing everything we can. Yeah, do we have a curfew in this series? God forbid. I hope
that
not.
would be the first thing we ask Pulmonary on Thursdays if they flew private or if they got a commercial
Dear
flight.
God, that's. I mean,
we're catching up on rain delays and travel restrictions now. That's our.
Hey, also by the way, side note, Jake, A&M's wearing their the gold Adidas jersey this weekend.
Yeah, they're doing it for cancer research, like Arkansas does something similar for that. Unrelated to them playing in a runner-up, as I know a lot of Texas fans probably thought that. But it's related to cancer research. So if you make fun of A&M, you're a scumbag.
Yeah, you assholes. Get off their backs, Texas fans. All right, let's go to the Friday through Sunday series, Jake. Let's start with where I will be. Alabama and Mississippi State. The SEC Unfiltered Tour officially heads to the Joe this weekend. I'm really excited for this, Jake. I'm excited to get a firsthand look at Justin LeBron, this Alabama team. And this is, we're starting with this one. If we weren't traveling to it, probably typically we wouldn't because there's some other headliners. This is a sneaky, really good series and really important for both these sides. If you're Mississippi State, you look what they've got coming up. This is one where, like, again, if you're going to make that run to the postseason, you feel like you need to kind of somehow steal 2 or 3 on the road against the Bama team that I think is cooled off a little bit, loses 2 or 3 at Auburn. They're a solid middle of the pack team at this point, Jake. I think at one time we maybe thought of them as a top 4 or top 5 team in the SEC. I think they've kind of more come back down to earth, if that's fair for me to say. But it's a big series for both sides. How does Zane Adams respond? I think that's a big key for Alabama. He got roughed up from the jump against Auburn and didn't last very long in that ball game. Can't get behind the 8 ball there. That matchup against Pico Khan is going to be a lot of fun to watch, obviously. And Pico has been really, really good for them. I know you've talked about Mississippi State. You've mentioned, I think you've used the word boring a few times. They just don't have a ton of star power. Ace Reese in their lineup has been pretty good, but they just don't have enough of those guys. Thoughts on this weekend? Thoughts on this series? Who you're picking and why?
Yeah, it is a second date update for you, Chris, by the way, because you got to see Alabama and Jacksonville. But I think the thing for me, just from a morale standpoint, Alabama, I think, has to win the series. And for as much as Alabama is highly ranked, I think it's almost a must-win because if you remember correctly, last year they faded down the stretch. And that was kind of the one thing is, they beat Tennessee early in the year and then faded down the stretch and they were quickly out. I think from a morale standpoint, Rob Vaughn is really going to try and pull out all the stops. From a fan support standpoint, I think it's a really big weekend for the right field Ragers. just because last time they kind of rallied all the troops and Tennessee went and beat them 2-3. It's going to be how Zane Adams responds. I think Riley Quick's trending towards starting, but even then he had Tommy John last year, so I think it would be in a very, very limited role, probably 3 innings max. Bobby Alcock, which Bobby Alcock are we going to see? Are we going to see SEC Pitcher of the Week Bobby Alcock, or are we going to see the other games Bobby Alcock? I think for me, the big thing that I went through is Alabama. It's going to be at home. I don't think there's going to be a ton of state presence this year. And again, at the end of the day, I think that this kind of best describes Mississippi State's state as a baseball team. They are coming after Lounge for inviting people into his rig, and they are asking about Ace Reese's eligibility next year. I think that those are kind of the biggest tellers as Chris kind of hops off there.
There it is.
The camera is usually had it ready to go. But I think that those are kind of the telltale signs about where the Mississippi State program currently is that those are the 2 biggest worries. They're not worried about attacking players or anything like that, like State was doing 5, 6, 7 years ago. They're worried about eligibility.
Jake, I appreciate you keeping your composure, by the way, while we had some technical difficulties. It's not the windup, Jake. I don't know if you've learned this. It's not the windup if we don't have some sort of technical issues.
It always is.
I appreciate you being a real pro there and keeping it moving. Nobody even really recognized, especially in the audio side, that happened. But I want to acknowledge Jake Mckeever, real pro out here. So Lounge is getting attacked for inviting people into his rig, you said?
Like opposing fans, like when he gives them food. It's ridiculous. It is the wildest thing you've ever seen.
That is hysterical, I have to say.
I'm Team Lounge, by the way.
And I love Lounge. I'm excited to link up with Lounge, by the way. I'm obviously excited to see all of our Crimson Tide folk, all the great people. But I think Mississippi State's going to bring some people. I think Lounge said he's going to be there. Hope he brings the mac and cheese. Hope he brings the brisket, whatever it might be. I'm down, man. I want the Duty Noble food to transport. That's what I'm hoping for. So hopefully I run into him. I am going Alabama, though. I fully expect. I do think Zane Adams is going to bounce back in this start. I think Bama at home, to your point, a lot of the reasons you made, Jake, I just think it's a must-win series for them. I think they have to have it. Bouncing back from losing 2-3 to your arch rival. And, yeah, Mississippi State was a team for me, Jake, admittedly coming in the season. Obviously, I had them as a sleeper Omaha team. I picked them to go to Omaha, and they have just not lived up to any of those expectations that I set on them. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think this is going to come down to a rubber match, though. I think it's going to be a good series, but I do think Alabama just they find a way. I just think they've got more bullets in the chamber, if you will, than a Mississippi State at this point. And I think Zane Adams will set the tone for them. Riley Quick on Saturday, I think, will shut down that Mississippi State lineup. I think Alabama finds a way. 2 of 3 at the Joe. And again, can't wait to get there. The SEC Unfiltered Tour going to the Joe. Won't be the first time I've been there, but the first series I've ever taken in.
Cruz is going to pull up?
Oh, Cruz is – yeah, Cruz is going to be there. We're going to be there together. Going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited to see, like, what the atmosphere is like, what the embrace – Rob Vaughn's ball club. Going to be a lot of fun too, Jake, because A-Day is on Saturday. So we're doing the double dipper, going to A-Day, then going over to the Joe. It's going to be a really, really fun weekend in Tuscaloosa, as you can imagine. There's going to be a lot of Innisfree mixed in as well. So
I'm more of a Galetz guy myself.
Well, there'll probably be some of that too. There's going to be a lot of Masters watching taking place. It's going to be a really, really good time, but can't wait to get down there. And I think the Crimson Tide will make the home faithful happy, as do you. You're also picking Alabama. And our guy Harrison, he is also going with Alabama. So clean sweep across the board with the boys picking the Crimson Tide. Jake, let's go to Athens, Georgia. This one is a massive series. The Dogs take on the Arkansas Razorbacks at Foley Field, Georgia. Looking to bounce back from a really, really tough weekend in Austin, Texas, where they were swept. Bats were quieted. This was not a good weekend overall for them. Arkansas, they put belt to ass, disposed of Mizzou in a couple. I think all 3 games were run rule victories, which, by the way, Jake, side note.
Hold on. There was like a little bit of an asterisk because they were going to play 7 anyway because of the doubleheader.
Oh, okay.
But they did technically, but it wouldn't have mattered if
it would have been a run rule. I was going to say, when is the last time an SEC series resulted in 3 run rules? Has that ever happened?
A&M run-rolled Vandy in all 3 games.
Really? Okay. Well, there you go. There you go.
It was so good that Jim Schlossnagle decided to sign with Texas.
There you go. That's why I asked. I didn't know that. Either way, this is I would probably say, Jake, this is the headliner of the weekend. Just when you look at the rankings, when you look at the caliber of teams, does coming home back to Foley Field, does it help Georgia offensively? Does it get them back in their rhythm? It obviously helped them in the midweek. They took out some frustration on Presbyterian. This will be a different animal, though. Arkansas, one of the hottest teams in the country. By the way, we should highlight this too, Jake, the new number 1 in college baseball. How does that I mean, it shouldn't affect you, but how does it, right? All of a sudden, you've got even more of this target on your back. The number 1 team in the country is coming to Athens. So, you know, Foley Field will be buzzing. They'll be fired up. I think Arkansas, are they able to, if they've got to outslug Georgia, can they do it? They've now got the lineup, I think, Jake, where you can have a realistic conversation such as that. I think Gabe Gackle is a key factor in this series. He's been just so up and down. The preseason consensus All-American. You know, I saw him in Nashville. He was really, really good. Granted, that wasn't against one of the best lineups in the conference, but he was really, really good. What Gabe Gackle do they get? Because you kind of feel like at this point, you know what you're going to get out of a Zach Root. Beetleshees on the weekend on Sundays have been pretty good, but I think Gabe Gackle, a key piece in this one. Your thoughts on this series, who you're picking? This one should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I submitted my picks before everybody else, and I noticed that every single person did Arkansas, which does kind of scare me a little bit. But my whole logic was this, by the way, is that while Foley Field is small and Georgia, you know, plays in that ballpark, Arkansas has to play there too. And we saw that with Texas A&M about how these cheap home runs sometimes sneak out. And I think that that really plays into Arkansas a little bit more than Georgia, because I can't believe I'm saying this. I feel like Arkansas is the better hitting team than Georgia.
Really?
I really like them. The bullpen issues, I think, for South, I say issues because the bullpen's been really good for Georgia, but I would say that the overuse of the bullpen is going to come into play right here for the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, they're going to get Brian Curley, which, by the way, I didn't realize he threw as hard as he did, because every time I've watched him,
Dude, he touched 100 earlier this year.
He was like 96 in the 6th inning.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good. He's a high energy guy. I'm looking for Nolan Souza to kind of break out here a little bit. Obviously, Logan Maxwell to get up to 100% too as well, as he's kind of been dealing with some injuries. But I think that the big thing for me is the Arkansas lineup. I don't know if did you see that haymaker that DVH threw in that press conference about how he was like, he was talking about all their stats, about how they're like, I think 18 points ahead of second place in batting average. And he goes, "So you can please stop texting me to fire our hitting coach. He's not going anywhere."
Wow. He knows the chatter.
He does. I think Dave Van Horn's burner is actually Dave Van Horn.
Yeah, Arkansas get this, guys. As a team in conference play, Arkansas in conference play is hitting 361. That is insane.
Well, I have an even more insane stat. This would be the ultimate jinx of jinx. But if Arkansas continues the way that they're playing, this is going to be the 8th straight year that they've won 40 games. I think that they're starting to set their sights on stuff down the road in a good way.
And to your point, Jake, about them being a better lineup than Georgia, they're hitting 361. Georgia's hitting 285. They've got 33 home runs. Georgia has 32 in conference play. I mean, there is a real argument to be made there. You're going Hogs. I'm also going Hogs. I learned my lesson, I think, last weekend, Jake, when I said, I usually believe that great pitching beats great hitting. I'm going against that. I just think Arkansas's got the arms to outlast Georgia. I think they've got the arms to quiet the bats enough. I do think coming home is going to help that Georgia lineup. I don't know why fans get so upset. We can't just embrace the fact that a place like Foley Field, a place like Lindsey Nelson, it's a hitter-friendly ballpark, guys. It's not taken away from the home runs you hit, but it is what it is. Like, Texas is a graveyard for baseballs. Like, it is a pitcher-friendly ballpark. It's okay to just say that. So I think Georgia coming home where they're comfortable, feed the trees, the whole nine. I think they will swing it a little bit better, but I trust Arkansas's pitching, what they've done swinging the stick in conference play, it is, again, seeing them in person, Jake, in Nashville, they're deep, man. Like, they are deep 1 through 9. It's not just the Aloy brothers. It's not just Iredale. It's not just, Gavilan. It's Cam Kozel. It's all these other guys. They've got so many dudes in the lineup that can hurt you, that are hurting people. Hogs are red hot.
Helfrich, you didn't even mention him.
I didn't even mention Helfrich. Yeah, exactly. They have so many guys you can lose track of them. Hogs are red hot, man. And I know, number one team in the country. Could they possibly, number one ranking, get upset? I don't think it's this weekend. I think Arkansas finds a way on the road. I think their pitching staff holds Georgia at bay just enough. And again, if they have to outslug them, the thing is, they can. And they probably will, in my mind. They can win different ways now, which makes Arkansas so scary. So I think they go on the road, find a way to take 2 or 3. I will tell you, Jake, to your point, you took Arkansas. I'm taking Arkansas. Harrison is taking Arkansas. That does scare the hell out of me that all 3 of us are going with the Hogs. But, I mean, dude, is there a
Masters weekend? It feels dirty picking Georgia to lose on Masters weekend.
That's just, on Masters weekend. How dare we? The local team there.
It's like just picking against Kentucky on
Kentucky Derby weekend.
Yeah, Derby Day.
Yeah, on Derby Day. Yeah, what I think Athens is hour and a half away too from Augusta. How dare
that would have to be, you and Harrison would know better than me.
Yeah, it's about, I think, hour and a half, or maybe, I don't think it's 2. I don't know. It's something like that. I think Georgia's just running it. I think Georgia is running into a buzzsaw back-to-back weekends. I mean, dude, think about it. They are playing the 2 best teams in the conference back-to-back weekends. You talk about a gauntlet. So, yeah. And Arkansas, again, man, the fact they can win multiple ways is what, like, really at this point is making them so dangerous. They can pitch. They can out-pitch you. They can out-slug you. However they need to beat you, they can find a way to do it. So, should be a fun series. But all 3 of us going with the Hogs. Jake, let's talk a little Kentucky, Texas. Speaking of the Longhorns, Texas traveling to Lexington. Kentucky is making a lot of waves over the last few weeks, Jake, for not, I don't know, for the greatest reasons, to where I have to ask the question, like, is Kentucky just a Bush League program at this point? And I wonder
that the Ole Miss one was not them. It was Ole Miss being dicks, to be fair.
I mean, it was funny, though. It was funny. I wonder how Texas's fan base is going to handle some of the antics.
There is a lot of antics.
I believe you called it chicken shit, I think was the word.
Yes, shit.
Chicken shit, yeah. Texas fans are already ruthless, so I wonder how they're going to respond to all that. I can't. I'll tell you this, I just can't wait to see social media this weekend, because I know there's going to be I mean, dude, I saw Texas fans talking shit about Georgia because the one kid had like 4 buttons unbuttoned, for Georgia. Texas fans are going to be a trip on social media, just shit talking the Kentucky antics, because they're going to be there, obviously.
They played there last year when they had the pink hats and the pink mustaches and everything, and because I feel like it's still a little bit too early for their fan antics to kind of get involved. But so in the last 3 weeks, they had the Ole Miss brawl, if you will. They had the pitch clock thing, and then remember Auburn, Kentucky, where they had a whole bunch of people get thrown out too. So
yeah,
stuff happens on Sunday when you play Kentucky. This feels like the ultimate trap game for Texas. Like they're riding high after beating one of the best teams in the country in the Georgia Bulldogs. They swept them. Even Kendall Rogers has given them flowers about how they can win the national championship. And Kentucky's really, on paper, never really been that good, but they always find a way to kind of get chippy. Kentucky's a good lineup. I think that this is going to be the most challenged Texas's pitching staff is going to be. Just because I think that this isn't making an excuse or anything like that, but playing at home, playing with that weather, I think was a big factor in that Georgia lineup. And it's going to be interesting to see if Kentucky, I mean, they really challenged Ryan Prager when that start that I saw. And then on Sunday, they did a great job chasing all the A&M pitchers. It's going to be a difficult lineup to navigate. And again, it's not one that's going to bang it around the yard a whole bunch of times, but it's a really dynamic lineup. And Tyler Bell and Luke Lawrence are, I think, one of the best duos in the SEC.
That said, though, you're going with
Texas.
The Horns, yes. I am going that direction as well. I am going Texas, but I do agree with you. This one's scary. Lexington's just a weird place, man. Like it's a weird place to play. And again, every weekend. Let me ask you this, Jake. Let me ask you if you agree, disagree. I still don't really feel like I even know what Kentucky is. Like I don't know if they're a good team, if they're a bad team, if they're just kind of like there almost.
They are a team that can hit, and their Sunday guy is their Friday guy. They remind me a little bit of Clemson last year. Obviously not as talented as Clemson, but like a poor man's Clemson. Like they can hit, and their best pitcher is going to be sitting at that back end on Sunday. Other than that, everything else is a complete mystery.
Yeah, they're just and obviously they're a program, Jake. Let's just call it for what it is. Like we don't follow them nearly as close as we follow them close, but nearly as close as some others, just because it's not like it's obviously not a college baseball blue blood. It's heck, Kentucky. It's not like a rabid fan base or even a big fan base when it comes to college baseball, but they do things obviously on a week in, week out basis they're the most frustrating team in the league, I think, to play.
Oh,
nobody likes playing them.
Everybody playing them because you know that it's never your team that you have to worry about. But you know that Kentucky, it's kind of like that old saying of if you get in the mud with the dogs, you don't be surprised when you get dirty.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happens when you play Kentucky. You know you're going to have to get in that mud and really kind of wrestle with them. And again, this is the ultimate trap game.
Ultimate trap series. After you sweep Georgia, you're feeling good. I think Schloss will be able to keep the boys locked in, but it's just, it definitely sets up for kind of a letdown. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's scary nonetheless. Then again, I could also see Texas just winning all 3 games and blowing them out, but Kentucky's just a weird. I fully expect to look up and be like, that's the score of that game in the 7th? Like, really? Like, Kentucky's leading that game? Really?
That 7-5 in the 7th or something like
that. Dude,
I
100% expect that. That being said, though, I'm picking Texas. I think they get it done. I don't think there will be a letdown of, like, epic proportions or anything. You're going Texas. Harrison also going Texas. All 3 of us taking the road team in Lexington. Jake, let's go to the series down on the Plains. The Auburn Tigers hosting the Tigers of the LSU variety. These 2 teams squaring off. Auburn coming off taking 2 of 3 against their arch rival Bama. LSU, of course, coming off that really impressive series sweep at Oklahoma when you pledged your allegiance to General Jay Johnson. I'm sure you'll never pick against the LSU Tigers again. This one's going to be a lot of fun. Again, another one. I don't know if it's under the radar or not, but I don't know if it's getting enough hype as it should. Cade Anderson going to be trying to follow up his complete game shutout. You know what I can't wait for, Jake? Because the talk amongst LSU fans after that complete game shutout was, what a legendary start. This is awesome. And then it went straight to pitch count, which I've never seen so many pitch count experts on Twitter. Like, you really think you know more about pitch count than Nate Yeske and Jay Johnson do, who are getting paid, 6-7 figures to coach your baseball team. If they do, my God, you need to fire them yesterday. But either way, and funny enough, I was joking with my guy Blake Ruffino that covers LSU for AYS, obviously, and I told him, I said, you know what's going to happen, right? If Cade Anderson, he doesn't even have to throw bad. If he doesn't throw great, everybody's going to be like, see, it was the pitch count. They threw him too long. 100% it's going to happen. Either way, I'm excited to see how Cade Anderson follows that up. There's some interesting storylines, Jake, in this one. Samuel Dutton, he is a guy that was on LSU's team, got cut by Jay Johnson, now is with Auburn, now is shoving. So, he's going to be pissed off. He's going to be fired up. Chris Stanfield coming back to his old stomping grounds, obviously was an Auburn Tiger. Thoughts on this weekend, thoughts on this series? I think this one's got the makings of a really, really good one.
Yeah, I think this one has the makings of a chippy one. It's, I think, 6 hours from Baton Rouge to Auburn, so there might be some diehards there for us. I will say this for Cade Anderson. They do an incredible job rehabbing him. I watched some of those. If you don't follow LSU's baseball strength coach, it's a must follow. But he walked through what they do after a 140 pitch outing. It's a lot of calisthenics. It's a lot of stretching. It's a lot of band work. So they really are going to have him ready to go from a body standpoint. Who do you think won that trade, by the way, between Sam Dutton and Chris Stanfield? Because I know Sam Dutton left LSU and they get pretty pissed off. When Chris Stanfield left Auburn, I'm sure they were pretty pissed to see him go. Both guys have settled into great roles with their new programs. Is this a rare win-win trade, if you will?
Yeah, I think both won in their own respective ways. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I think that was a pretty successful exchange.
Yeah, and I don't even think Chris Stanfield will start for Auburn this year. That's kind of the crazy statement of the day. I really wanted to go with Auburn here. I feel like this is one of those ones where Auburn's at home, Plainsman's going to come out. But do you really want to pick against Cade Anderson, Chase Shores, and Anthony Einson? Like, especially with Auburn and how they are going with openers still. I really like Eric Snow. I really like Derek Fabian. But I think it's just going to be too much LSU. This is right when Jay Johnson kind of gets everybody rolling, gets the students into it, and they get going here pretty quick.
Well, I mean, again, Jake, I knew you pledged your allegiance to General Jay Johnson. I mean, you can't follow it up picking against them again, can you? I mean, they would send you straight to the gulag, the Bayou gulag, man. Or you just never be welcome back in the state of Louisiana ever again. I mean,
that's what it would be like, Chris. That scene in Jarhead where he's having to do the toilets.
They'd never let you back down on the Bayou ever again. So you're going LSU. Harrison's going LSU. Give me the Auburn Tigers, baby, to pull the upset. I'm going heavy upsets this weekend for whatever reason. Something in my gut tells me Auburn at home. It's not a knock on LSU. Like, I think LSU, obviously, very, very good. I think you could argue they're one of maybe the best team in the conference. You could really make that argument. I do think, though, Auburn at home, Ike Irish, Cooper McMurray being those guys. You mentioned Derek Fabian in the middle of the lineup there. Nice Judd Fabian reference, by the way, old Florida Gator. Those guys, how does LSU follow up? Can they pitch as well as they did last weekend at Oklahoma? That's my big question. They used 5 pitchers on the weekend. It's going to be hard to follow that up. It is. Plainsman will be rocking. Something tells me, again, I think this is going to be a really, really tough series. Comes down to a rubber match, and I think Auburn finds a way to take down LSU 2 of 3. If LSU wins the series, will it surprise me, Jake? I'm taking a bit of a flyer here, but I love Butch Thompson on the home field. Sam Dutton revenge series. I think that's going to be one of the big storylines. Sam Dutton revenge series. I think they find a way to get it done for their dude. The pitching matchup does scare me a little bit, like you mentioned, but I'm going to roll with Auburn, man. I like Auburn here. It's hard to go on the road in the SEC and win, Jake. It is hard to go on the road against quality competition. It's very, very difficult.
Here.
Say it again?
We always downplay it every year, how hard it is.
It is. It's very, very difficult. I think Auburn pulls maybe the biggest upset of the weekend, maybe unless Mizzou comes through and does beat Florida. That would probably be the one. But one of the biggest upsets of the weekend, Auburn taking, I'm going to say 2 of 3 at Plainsman. Let the LSU hate flow to me. Maybe I'll be pledging my allegiance to General Jay Johnson after it's all said and done. You never know. Jake, let's go to, boy, this one's going to be a lot of fun.
This is a series of the weekend for me.
Ooh, down in Oxford, Mississippi. You talk about some bad blood. Ole Miss hosting the Tennessee Volunteers. And there's a lot of different ways you can go here, Jake. Number one, Tennessee is looking to bounce back after losing the series to A&M, of course. That is one of the talking points. But Liam Doyle, Andrew Fisher are going back to Oxford. And the comments were rolling in by Monday. Ole Miss folks commenting on our stuff, like Tennessee don't know what they're walking into. It's going to be hell for Liam Doyle. It's going to be hell for Andrew Fisher. And I'll tell you this, Jake, if nothing else, Liam Doyle is already a psychopath. I cannot wait to see what he's going to be like tomorrow night. He's already a lunatic. And I think I don't know if it was Tony Vitello that said it or somebody else, but they essentially insinuated you'd have to amputate his arm for him to not pitch in this series. Because I think he was dealing with a little blister stuff.
Right? I heard that was more cosmetic.
Okay.
With a closer game, they probably would have brought it.
But they essentially said, if he has a pulse, Liam Doyle's going on Friday night. He's getting the baseball. I mean, you know Andrew Fisher's going to want to go back and make a statement. I mean, the dude just hits moonshot after moonshot. And this is a huge prove-it weekend, too. I think a big opportunity, obviously, Jake, for Ole Miss. There's been a lot of chatter. Are the Rebels really a top 10 team? Are they really that good? Liam Doyle versus Hunter Elliott is going to be pure cinema. This entire series is going to be pure cinema, man. I'm going to let you take the floor here, but what you're most looking forward to, who you're picking, like you said, this is the one where all eyes are on Swayze this weekend.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the understatement. Tennessee, you know what you're going to get from a chippiness standpoint. Every single team in the country that plays Tennessee knows what you're going to get. Ole Miss, I think that they have a reputation to uphold. That they are the biggest asshole fan base in the entire conference. They're the fan base that is known to take things too far, to be arrogant. And you have two guys that gave you the finger on their way out the door coming back to town. I want PA warnings issued for this fan base. I want stuff thrown on the field. I want play to be canceled. I want y'all to take it. I want Ole Miss fans to take it too far. But from an X's and O's standpoint, I think that this is where you'll really kind of figure out who Ole Miss is, which is ironic because when Ole Miss won the national championship in 2023, we said, hey, is Ole Miss really the number one team? Or like they won, but everybody else around them lost. Like, I don't think they're the number one team, but no one's really better than them right now. And ironically, they went and played Tennessee, and Tennessee swept them. And that started the downtrend for that Ole Miss team that they ended up barely sneaking into the tournament. That's kind of what it feels like this year. So it feels like Tennessee's about to expose Ole Miss. I think the fans play a little bit of a factor. Maybe if you're going to go a 1-2 run differential from a prop standpoint. But yeah, I mean, give me Liam Doyle being a psycho on Friday night. Give me somebody not named Andrew Fisher to stick up for Andrew Fisher. Give me a Hunter Ainsley. I really like him to kind of be an X factor. I think it's going to be all Tennessee. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if it's a sweep.
Does Ole Miss's pitching staff throw at Andrew Fisher? Hey, you're pulling for toxicity. I mean,
did he leave it negatively as Liam Doyle did? I feel like Liam Doyle was a much bigger loss.
And it's so funny, man, because if you talk to Ole Miss folks, the first thing they say is, man, Liam Doyle, he wasn't really shit with us, and now he's just crushing it. Like, dude, I've talked to Ole Miss folks that are convinced like the deer antler spray is a real thing, and like they're juicing their pitchers because they're like, dude, he was low 90s with us, and now the dude's 96, 97. Like, what happened? So, you're pulling for peak toxicity. I'm pulling for peak toxicity. I mean, with these two fan bases, with the way things happen between the Doyle Fisher thing, essentially jumping ship and leaving for the bag. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be bad blood. I am also going Tennessee though. I think to your point, man, Tennessee ain't losing back-to-back SEC series. I will tell you this too. I will not be surprised if we get like a Liam Doyle middle finger running off the mound. I don't know what this dude's gonna do. He is going to be.
Was it Oklahoma State in Houston when he was like mumbling under his breath?
Yes. We're gonna get more of that. I would not be surprised. Like, we need to keep a camera on his face at all times because we're gonna get the Louisville pitcher shit talking the guy after we're gonna get that like every inning. Like, we might get that every batter. Like, I mean, he's gonna be motherfucking everybody. Like, I don't doubt it at all. So I can't wait to see
it. 2 words: Liam Doyle, Hunter Elliott, must-see TV.
Must-see TV. The matchup of the night in the SEC. But again, I'm going Vols as well. This is a series, Jake, that admittedly scares me. It is. It also scares me the fact Harrison is also picking Tennessee. We are really, all three of us, picking a team to go into a venue of a top 10 ball club and win. All three of us. That terrifies me. It does. But that being said, Jake, let me ask you this. Admittedly, do you side more with Tennessee also because they lost 2 or 3 to Texas A&M? Like, does that make you feel like you're like, there's no way they're dropping 2 series in a row?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look and see the last time they dropped 2 series in a row would be.
It's got to be. I mean, it's got to be a really long time.
Tennessee has just, under Tony V, has just an innate ability to play the victim in a good way where they have this big chip on their shoulder and then get up off the mat after they get their ass kicked. Like, even in Omaha, when they get overmatched by Paul Skeens, they win 2 games and get back into that matchup. So I really like Tennessee under Tony V. I think that's what it's going to be here. I don't know how it's like Kirby Smart levels of delusion with him in a good way to get these guys ready. Like they have some chip.
You think Tony V's in the clubhouse like they all picked you to miss the tournament?
He
like,
said that. Remember, he goes, we're not the most talented team in the SEC.
That quote from him blew my mind when he was like, "Yeah, we don't have the most talented roster." Like he made it sound like most games out we don't. I'm like, what? I mean, maybe if you want to say A&M's roster's more talented on paper, but that sounded, when he said that, I was like, okay, you're more so just trying to send a message and motivate your guys because there's no way you actually believe this. Like, there's just no way. Come on. You're telling me y'all don't have talent? Get out of here. Either way, I'm going Tennessee. You're going Tennessee. Harrison going with the Vols. But this one, going to see must-see TV. Like you said, give me all the toxicity. Swayze crazies, this is your time to shine. We, like you said, bring it on. Maybe this is the first field rush we get in SEC baseball.
Well, not for Liam Doyle, but that'd be awesome for the sport.
Yes, field rushes. Bring it to college baseball, damn it. I want to be a part of them. Finally, Jake, let's go to Norman, Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners taking on the Vanderbilt Commodores. We talked about it earlier, Jake, when talking about the midweek. This feels like two clubs going in different directions. Vanderbilt is winners of 4 straight, I believe, and Oklahoma losers of 5 straight, or those two numbers are flipped. Either way, Vandy's on a winning streak, OU's on a losing streak. Jake, I'll pass it to you, but it starts for me. Oklahoma's got to win game 1. They just cannot lose when Kyson Witherspoon is on the bump, spinning the baseball the way he does. I mean, listen, you get out-dueled by Cade Anderson. It's unfortunate, but I think for Oklahoma, winning game 1, and it's important for everybody, but it's pivotal for the Sooners here.
Yeah, I think that's really where it starts for me. Sticking with the theme of the Masters, I think that this is almost like a Saturday moving day. One of these teams is going to be right in the hunt to compete for that SEC title, and one of them is really going to slip out of the race here. I know that a lot of people always talked about the grind of the SEC in Texas, and like, oh, like this grind isn't anything. OU is like the opposite. Like I feel like they're having to play all these gauntlets of teams right as they're getting as hot as they can. I went with OU. I think that the Witherspoon sandwich, if you will, is just going to be too much for this Vandy team that relies a ton on manufacturing runs. You know, we've talked about their power numbers being down. Again, they don't really have a double-digit home run guy. Vandy has started to figure it out a little bit more than even I kind of gave him credit for. I think this is another one of those where if Vandy wins the series, I think it'll tell me a lot about how good Vandy is. And the loser of this series, I think, will be officially off of like wagon status, if you will.
Yeah, the momentum is kind of what scares me in the because I went back and forth with this one, Jake. This was one of the tougher picks for me. I definitely see a path for Oklahoma, and I think they're a quality club. Love Skip Johnson, but God, like I said, it's just two teams going in opposite directions, man. And like I've doubted Vandy a pretty good bit this season because I just, I talked about after the series when I was in Nashville and they took on Arkansas. It's like it's an old school form of baseball. They're trying to pitch, they're trying to play defense, they want to win games low scoring. And then they go to games when they sweep Florida. I know Florida not a good team, but still, I do like what I've seen from Vandy of late. The matchup between J.D. Thompson and Kyson Witherspoon, that one's going to be a lot of fun to watch. One of the more Friday night showdowns. Again, Oklahoma is just, they got to win game 1. Even if they win game 1, they might not win this series. But I think to have any shot to win this series, they got to win game 1. I'm going to side with Vandy. I think Vandy, like you said, they're catching fire. They're starting to do some things really, really well. Their offense is always going to scare me, but I don't know, man. I think they find a way. I think the pitching staff is able to shut down Oklahoma for the most part. I'm going to go with the Doors, man. Get it done. Find a way. Like you said, this is another pivotal series, to your point, when it just comes to SEC pecking order and fighting for your postseason life, if you will. Just pulling up the standings here, Jake. Vanderbilt sitting at 7-5 in conference play. Oklahoma's at 5-7. So
they've lost 5 of 6 in the SEC.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to find a way. I think, losers of 4 straight, Vandy winners of 5 straight. So you got to find a way if you're Oklahoma to bounce back here. They are 15-5 at home. Granted, they just got swept at home, so take it for what it's worth. But I'm going to side with Vandy. I don't feel good about this one. I'll just go that far, Jake. I don't feel good.
Yeah, I feel the same way you do, where I went with OU and really don't feel that good about it.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot about both sides this weekend. I'm going doors. Jake's going Oklahoma. Harrison going with the Vandy boys. So, guys, conference weekend number 5 is officially upon us. Those are our picks. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? And who are you taking in the 5th conference weekend? Jake, it's crazy to say we have reached the halfway point of conference play in the SEC. Man, we're going to be in Hoover before you know it and talking about Omaha before you know it as well. Guys, before we get out of here, Jake, we're going to take some questions. We always do this on the show. Go through some of these comments here, and we've got a ton. My guy, Chinook Cedar, he said over under 30 minutes before camera issues. We actually made it to 31 minutes. So what a line by you, my folks over at Chinook. Some of the smartest in the game, obviously, best seeds in the game. We appreciate y'all. By the way, use promo code SECU at checkout at ChinookCedary.com. You'll get 10% off. Jake, I've got literally just boxes of these guys over here. So, yeah, I love them. That's all I chew. Make sure you check them out. So, a lot of Masters chatter in the comments. We love to see it. Rolling through these. If you all want to make money, bet LSU national champs. How about that? We're already getting the LSU national title takes. Big Orange took a little belt to ass last weekend. Don't forget old Vol Daddy is usually the one giving the belt to ass. Our guy, Bo Molinari, who tunes in a lot and comments a lot on Friday Night Spikes, says, whoop, Giga Mags. Giga Mags. Huge weekend for Giga Mags. Let's see. Bo might not be as confident heading into Fayetteville, but hope the Aggies can take 2 of 3 from the Cox. Hey, how about this one, Jake? Texas rocks. Aggie will sneak into the regionals and get booted by Dallas Baptist. Hey, that DBU team.
They're going to go to Austin. That's my prediction.
Hold on. Would they wouldn't send an SEC team to an SEC regional, would they?
No, I'm saying DBU to Texas.
Oh, DBU to Texas. Okay, I was like, wait a minute now.
It's going to be TCU, DBU, and then somebody else. But that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. Hey, my guy, Bo, a day without technical difficulties from Chris is a day that never was. That's it, yeah. I mean, listen, I get it, man. I'll own it. Say it again.
Going to strike out 27 batters. It's all in the adjustments.
It's all about making adjustments here. We're just here to show you that it's not the errors that define you. It's how you respond. That's all it comes down to. Ethan says Arkansas has hit more homers in SEC play in bigger parks. If this park is an advantage for Georgia, then it's even more of an advantage for Arkansas.
I agree.
It's a good point. It's a very, very good point. I just love how upset people get when you say it's a hitter-friendly park. It's like, I mean, we're not saying you hit cheapies, but it is a hitter-friendly park. I mean, it just, come on, let's relax a little bit. Let's see. Apparently, Texas folks think I'm jinxing them. Chris goes Hogs. Good news for the Dogs. He also was not happy when I picked Texas to beat Kentucky. So, yeah. So, let's see. A few more here. Caden B, not saying that they're good. I'm just saying that Kentucky, the Bats have picked up. Yeah, going to be a fun weekend in Lexington. I'm very curious. Like you said, potential for a letdown. Ethan says, crazy stat, both Arkansas and Texas 11-1 in the SEC. Arkansas scored 138 runs in conference and outscored opponents by 91 runs, which is the same amount of runs that Texas has scored total in SEC play.
That's interesting.
Outscoring their opponents by 91 runs. That is pretty wild. Finally, Jake, before we get out of here, Caden B, A&M about to go on a crazy run.
Don't let the Ags get hot.
Don't let the Ags get hot. Michael Early trying to save his job, man. I mean, maybe. I mean, I'd love to see it. Because, Jake, we've had A&M folks tune into our content all season long, even with the poor play. So I hope for all of our A&M audience
It'd be a good redemption. That's like a Disney movie.
A little bit. I see what you're saying. A little bit. Finally, we'll take one more. Bo, I'm a Michael Early fan. We need to go on a heater and get this man a second season. Gavin Grohovic back would be a game changer. It would. We'll see. Yeah. Anyways, that being said, guys, again, thank you all so much for the engagement, the questions, the comments, the banter. Jake, thank you, sir. Thank you. Like a Dylan Volantis, like a Brian Curley out the pen, like a who else? Who else can I reference here? Like a Sawyer Hawks, like a who else we want to go with? I don't know. Like a great reliever coming in the clutch, man. We appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Obviously, again, guys, you've seen Jake Mckeever on Friday Night Spikes. Glad, Jake, we were able to get you here on the Windup, and we wish our guy Harrison nothing but the best. Grinding away right now at Augusta National. So
restocking all the pimento cheese sandwiches.
Restocking all the merchandise, taking care of the fine patrons over there at
if you do have Masters tickets, go find Harrison.
Yeah, go find Harrison. Go chirp him for his picks. We would love that. Tell him we sent you to do it. We would love that even more. Again, Jake, thank you so much, seriously, for doing this, man. Appreciate you taking the time. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Jake Mckeever, I'm Chris Phillips. This is The Windup. Appreciate each and every single one of you all tuning in, and we will catch you all tomorrow night on Friday Night Spikes.